Is there help on the way for the HBCUs? There's been a lot of rumors floating around about Donald Trump issuing an executive order regarding the HBCUs and potential help coming their way. I watched this particular segment off of the Roland Martin show, and I am going to reserve my judgment. A bunch of the presidents from the HBCUs are meeting with Donald Trump on Tuesday to sit down and go over, I believe, what his executive order is going to cover. Now, there are several people, unbelievable, but several people, including of all people, Omarosa Marigold, who are HBCU alumni. So there may be some loyalty or some goodwill as far as they're concerned. Now, I did learn from this video that there have been at least 2 to 3 meetings with the Trump representatives and the HBCU presidents. So I'm going to say that I'm optimistic that something positive is going to be done. Now, I'm not really sure what the hell Roland Martin, or what his position is in all this, because he started off, and it seemed to me like he was going to go negative on this thing, and then all of a sudden he shut up because the president of one of the HBCUs, which is one of his guests, she was pretty much articulate. And she had a point as far as at least getting in at the table in order to try to get something done. And then again, I'm turning into, I can't believe it, I'm turning into a fan of Ms. Burke because she was jumping up and down about not caring where the hell the HBCU position was as far as either being within the Department of Education or within the office of the White House. She just wants something done, as opposed to the past 8 years where President Obama basically had fucked the HBCUs, and that's another whole story altogether, and I don't even want to get pissed off and get into that piece. Anyway, here's the segment, and again, I'm going to say that I'm optimistic. And if Trump gets something done for the HBCUs and gets something done as far as education and jobs in the inner cities, and does something as far as nailing these states on these voting laws, voting suppression laws, I may have to develop some selective amnesia about all the bullshit that he's done over his career, because it's time that black people got a break. And I'm not saying a handout, I'm talking about a hand up, and the hand up is jobs availability, okay? I'm talking about improvement in the educational system where you put various programs back into all the schools. Things like shop, things like art and music classes, things of that nature, because everybody is not cut out for the sciences, math or English. Some people are just gifted with their hands, and they have an innate knowledge of how a motor works and how to design an oil tool, etc. And that takes dollars going into the public schools. And again, Betsy DeVos, I'm not going to get into Betsy DeVos, but that takes dollars coming into the schools so that there are classes for kids who aren't as disposed to being great, at English or math or science, but just, again, have just a feel for all things shop or all things music or all things art. Anyway, here's the segment regarding the HBCUs.
Trump administration has put HBCUs on its radar screen this week. The president will sign an executive order as early as today that will give a big funding boost to more than 100 schools around the country. And HBCU presidents will be meeting with the administration on Tuesday to discuss the school's importance and ways in which government and corporations can support them.
I also want to honor and promote the achievements of historically black colleges and universities throughout our nation. They do a fantastic job. They're not given the credit that they deserve, and they're going to start getting that credit.
Senator Tim Scott, South Carolina, Congressman Mark Walker of North Carolina are hosting a day-long conference with the school leaders tomorrow at the Library of Congress. Omarosa Manigault, Director of Communications for the Office of Public Liaison in the administration, plus Senior Advisor to the President, will take part in the conference. Joining us right now, Leslie Baskerville, President and CEO of the National Association for Equal Opportunity, which, of course, advocates for HBCUs. So, Leslie, what do you make of the Trump administration trying to get a feather in his cap with black folks by appealing to HBCUs?
Well, actually, during the campaign, President Trump talked about HBCUs. No one heard it because of the vitriol and all that was going on.
I know I didn't hear it.
In the campaign, he talked about HBCUs, and then simultaneously his ground troops in Florida and some of the Deep South, they had listening sessions on HBCU campuses. And so there was a common thread, and it was spurred by Omarosa Manigault, who's a 3-time HBCU alumna. She graduated from Central State University in Ohio, from Payne Theological Seminary in Ohio, and from Howard University. And so she has been a voice and a champion for HBCUs throughout the campaign. And one of the things that she said in listening sessions early on was that President Trump understood the centrality of HBCUs to his agenda.
Do you believe that?
That he understands that?
Right.
I think that it is important that he has someone at his side that he trusts, who knows firsthand the centrality of HBCUs to the realization of his economic agenda, his education agenda, his agenda to revitalize urban areas and rural areas and so forth.
But here's what you have. 94% of black women voted against Donald Trump for president.
See, Roland was getting ready to go negative on this woman, and she had a particular line of defense that he wasn't prepared for. So now he's going to roll into, what dog does Donald Trump have in this hunt, since basically 90+% of black people voted against him? Just because people vote against you does not necessarily, and I know I'm talking about Donald Trump, but it does not necessarily mean that you can't do something for them, okay? And that's where Roland missed the point here. But anyway, let him make his.
Black folks are not shy about their feelings about Donald Trump. And so that's what the HBCU presidents are going to go up against, Talladega College. They decided to perform in the inauguration. They caught a whole lot of heat from their graduates, from the alumni about that decision. And so what is the fine line HBCU presidents must walk?
What HBCU presidents must say, and what I say to everyone, and wise people say, no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, permanent interests. In this president, we have someone who has said, because of diversity, and I think it's important to note that, we talk about the importance of diversity from the top down in all the ranks here in the White House. We've had people of color, we've had females there. Here we have a diversity of experiences, a diversity of institutions. And so someone who understands the value of HBCUs, they're just 3% of American colleges, 40% of African Americans in the sciences, technology, engineering, and mathematics graduating there, 60% health professionals graduating, 50% African American teachers. So she, Omarosa Manigault, and now I understand there are at least 3 other persons in between the Office of Public Policy and the Office of Outreach that have experiences as HBCU alumni.
The plan is to move the HBCU initiative out of the Department of Education, move it to the White House. Smart or not, Eugene?
I'll put it this way. I'd probably rather keep it in the Department of Education rather than the hands of Omarosa Manigault. As somebody that's dealt with her, somebody that's a Republican that believes in HBCUs, somebody that's attended HBCUs, I'm very excited about the executive order, but I want to see executive order plus legislation from Congress that's actually enforceable rather than something that gives Omarosa a nice press release.
It's a piece of paper.
Who cares whether or not...
What gets you excited about an executive order that directs agencies to be more supportive and to use and contract and give grant priority to historical black colleges from the Trump administration. What's exciting about that, unless it comes with accountability and real action?
So we propose that it does. The HBCU community
That it does what?
puts in accountability. So the executive order and the White House initiatives on HBCUs has actually been in the White House previously, and then it was taken in the department. When it was in the department, it got mired in the politics of the department. So the first thing that it does when you take it out of the department is it signals its importance to the administration. And the messaging is to the people, the heads of the departments and the agencies, that this is very important to this administration. It signaled that to the Republican leadership in Congress. And so, as was said earlier in the feed coming in, our presidents are going to meet early in this Congress with the Republican leadership, thanks to Congressman Walker and Senator Tim Scott and a range of other people. But so they signal, number one, the importance. Number two, we're proposing, and I don't know if it's going to be in there, but that there is a 5% goal for increasing federal investment, every federal agency, every federal department, contracts, grants, sponsored programs, internships, and so forth. That accounts to a substantial amount of dollars. And there is a report, I don't know what's in it, we have recommended a reporting requirement.
For every black college, that 5% investment?
For the HBCU community across the board. And so the agencies and departments under our proposal would need to show progress toward that goal.
After 8 years of what we just saw, the only thing I'm caught up in is whether or not something is going to happen for HBCUs or not going to happen. I couldn't care less whether that office was in the White House or not in the White House. I mean, the Obama administration had all these decorative offices on African American education, and they had the William Harvey thing, and they had, you know, Ivory Toldson, and nothing happened for HBCUs. The situation got worse. So don't you think the way this should be measured at the end of the day is, are these schools getting money or are they not getting money?
Absolutely. Outcomes. And we propose that there's an outcome measures. President Reagan actually had goals and outcome measures. He required his departments and agencies to report mid-year and end of the year, and you'll see that the federal dollars going in did increase. At least you can hold them accountable. But I mean, I think you're absolutely right. And back to the discussion you all were just having, if the HBCU community sits on the sideline and does nothing, then nothing will happen. But if we go in this opening, we have a president who has said, we want to do something, and we have to go in that opening and try to make it happen.
I don't disagree with you, but here's the thing. Our historical black colleges, we usually categorize them in three groups. Those who are struggling and can't meet budget on a monthly or annual basis, those who are barely meeting budget, and those who are achieving and have a significant endowment. I worry that some of those historical black colleges aren't in a position, the ones that are struggling, aren't in a position to even accept that 5% or accept the more focused investment in their institutions, because they're just not in a position to manage it and to receive it. No,
You gotta be kidding me. So obviously the upper echelon HBCUs, you know, they have no problem taking money in, various grants, programs, and, you know, research, etc. The mid-range guys that are just barely making it, obviously that would put a safety net underneath them, and they hopefully should be able to prosper and move towards the upper echelon. The lower ones that are having a problem making budget on a monthly or an annual basis, that would stabilize them as well, put a safety net underneath them, okay, in order for them to be able to start moving up. So for you to say that you worry that they wouldn't be able to handle the funding, the increase in funding that they were receiving, that's just plain asinine.
I mean, you make it sound like it's simple.
Whatever they're willing to accept is better than the 8 years we just saw.
One other point is the Parent Plus loan, right? Is the order going to cover and improve or fix the Parent Plus loan credit requirement that devastated historical black colleges?
If it does, it'll be a big turnaround. It'll be if the Trump EO does that, that'll be a huge win for HBCUs.
Exactly.
A huge win for black and brown. A correction of the failed Obama policy.
Comment.
So the final comment I think that is important that, first of all, distinguish between what an executive order can do and then what legislation has to do. And obviously, on the side of legislation, we're going to push Dr. Dickens to remediate the residual adverse impacts of the shift in. Absolutely. But I don't agree with you in your characterization of HBCUs. HBCUs expand the gamut from small to research intensive. Whatever it is, they have astounding leaderships who are doing more with few dollars than anyone else. If you put any additional dollars in any of those institutions, they will be stronger, they will thrive, they will grow, and continue to outpace others. HBCUs are punching above their weight in every class, even with so few resources.
And we're dealing with this tomorrow as well. So, Leslie, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for being here.
All right, don't move yet. All up when we come back, folks.
All right, I wasn't really all that familiar with the Parent Plus loan, so basically, let me tell you what it is in case you're not familiar with it either. The Parent Plus loan is a federal student loan available to the parents of dependent undergraduate students. The Parent Plus loan offers a fixed rate, which is usury right now, of 6.31 interest for the year 2016-2017. And has flexible loan limits. To be eligible, a parent can have, obviously, an adverse credit history. That goddamn loan rate, interest rate is way too goddamn high. 6%, give me a break. If you're trying to get people educated and trying not to kill, the parents, how come that rate isn't half of that? We're talking about 3. Prime rate is barely above 1.5 right now. So to charge 3, basically, in my opinion, is fair, particularly given the fact that you're going to benefit from the student being educated and being a positive contributor to the American economy. Anyway, I'm going to obviously keep up with this, and I want to see if that executive order is issued today. I want to see exactly what's in it.